Have you ever looked around and realized that the people who used to be part of your daily life just aren't there anymore? The lunches got fewer, the calls slowed down, and eventually it wasn't a fight or a fallout, just silence. They say it's normal to lose friends after 70, and maybe it is. But here's what they don't always tell you. Even when you expect it, even when you think you're ready, it can still feel like something sacred slipped away quietly. In this video, we'll gently unpack the truth about friendships in later life, why they fade, why that's not always a bad thing, and why sometimes the most surprising friendships are the ones we form with ourselves, and maybe, just maybe, with someone new. This isn't about loneliness, it's about honesty, and maybe a bit of hope too. Let's talk about something no one warns you about. Fewer friends, more peace. When you're young, having many friends feels like proof you're doing life right. People around you, plans on the calendar, messages buzzing in your phone. But after 70, the silence starts to stretch longer, and for many, that silence is terrifying. Here's the myth. If you're losing friends, something's wrong with you. But here's the truth. It might actually mean you're growing. Friendships, like seasons, have their time. Some were built on routine. Work, neighbors, raising kids together, but once those routines change, the friendship sometimes fades too. Not because anyone failed, just because life reshaped itself. And what often replaces the chatter is peace. A quiet morning, your favorite book, a slow walk without the need to explain anything to anyone. No more rushing to meet someone else's expectations. No more keeping up appearances just to feel included. Some people call that loneliness, others call it freedom. So if your circle is smaller these days, don't panic. Sometimes peace wears the disguise of an empty chair. This next part might surprise you. You're not the same person, and that's okay. There's this quiet pressure that creeps in as we age. Stay the same, or people won't recognize you. Don't change too much, or you'll be left behind. But here's the gentle truth. After 70, you're allowed to become someone completely new. In fact, it's natural. The things you once loved, big gatherings, weekly lunches, chatting for hours, may now feel exhausting. You might crave depth instead of chatter, solitude instead of stimulation, a real conversation with yourself instead of small talk with 10 others. Some people won't get that, even longtime friends. They'll say things like, "You've changed," as if that's a bad thing. But you didn't change overnight. You evolved, moment by moment, through heartbreaks, losses, new joys, unexpected quiets. Your soul stretched, your values deepened, your needs softened. Friendships built on your old self may no longer fit, and that's okay. Take Marjorie. She was the life of every party in her 40s and 50s, hosting dinners, remembering every birthday, always the glue that held people together. But after turning 72, she stopped enjoying it. She started saying no to invites that drained her. She stopped apologizing for needing space. Some friends pulled away. One even said, "You're not who you used to be." And she smiled and said, "Thank goodness." Because who she used to be was exhausted. Who she is now is peaceful. Not everyone is meant to walk your entire journey. Some friends were there for a season. Some helped you become who you are today. And that's a beautiful thing. But if you feel misunderstood lately, maybe it's not because you're difficult. Maybe it's because you're finally being real. But let's go even deeper. What if losing friends after 70 isn't just about other people pulling away? What if you are the one quietly letting go, because your soul is asking for something more? Solitude isn't sad. It's sacred. Let's bust a myth that still lingers like fog. If you're alone, something must be wrong. That belief is rooted in fear, not truth. Because after 70, solitude isn't a punishment. It's a choice, a gift, a doorway to deeper peace than noise could ever offer. You've spent a lifetime showing up for others, kids, partners, work, obligations. You've shared your time, your energy, your home, even your silence. Now, it's okay to reclaim it. There's nothing broken about waking up to a quiet home and actually enjoying it. There's no shame in taking a walk without calling anyone, or eating lunch while watching the birds, or going to sleep with only your own breath to listen to. In fact, some of the most joyful, grounded people in their 70s and 80s are those who finally learned how to enjoy their own company. Like Walter, he used to dread weekends. Saturdays were for family barbecues and Sunday church picnics. But once the invitations slowed and the house grew quiet, he thought something was wrong. Until one Sunday morning, instead of trying to fill the space, he brewed his coffee, sat by the window, and just listened. To the birds, to the trees swaying, to the thoughts in his own head that had been waiting years to be heard. And that's when it hit him. This wasn't loneliness. This was presence. Solitude, when embraced on your terms, is not the absence of connection. It's the deepening of it. With yourself, with the world, with what truly matters. So the next time someone says, "Don't you get lonely?" smile gently and say, "No, I'm finally not interrupted." It's easy to blame yourself when people drift away. But what if the distance isn't rejection? What if it's a quiet sign of evolution? Let's talk about why some friendships fade, not because you're unlovable, but because you're growing. It stings, doesn't it? When someone you used to talk to every week suddenly disappears, when a friend doesn't call back, when you realize you've been the one holding the relationship together for years. At first, your mind goes to blame. What did I do? Was I not enough? But here's a softer truth. Not all friendships end because something went wrong. Some simply reach their natural conclusion. And that's not failure. That's life moving. We outgrow people. They outgrow us, not out of malice, but out of rhythm, like seasons shifting. Some leaves fall not because the tree is dying, but because it's time for new growth. Think of Clara. She had a close friend, Linda, for over 40 years. They raised their kids side by side, swapped recipes, even vacationed together. But when Clara lost her husband and began spending more time in nature, writing and reflecting, something shifted. Linda didn't understand. She wanted the old Clara back. Chatty, upbeat, always available. But Clara had changed. Grief had deepened her. Solitude had steadied her. She wasn't angry at Linda. She just didn't feel the same connection anymore. And that's okay. You're not obligated to drag old friendships into your new chapters. You can thank them, bless them, and let them be part of your past, without guilt. So if you've noticed fewer calls or invitations lately, don't assume it's your fault. It might be your soul making space for something better, or simply for stillness. Not everyone is meant to walk with you forever, but you still get to walk forward, lighter, freer, wiser. The older you get, the more intentional you become, with your time, your energy, your heart. And sometimes, that looks like being alone. But don't mistake solitude for sadness. Let's reframe the truth behind it. You're not lonely. You're selective. There's a big difference between being alone and feeling lonely. But society often confuses the two, especially when you're over 70. People assume that if you're not surrounded by a big group, something must be wrong. That if your phone isn't buzzing, you must be sad. That if you spend time by yourself, you must be missing something. But here's the truth. You're not missing anything. You're choosing carefully. You've lived long enough to know what kind of company drains you, and what kind nourishes you. You've learned that not every coffee date is meaningful, that some conversations are just noise, that checking in out of obligation can sometimes feel lonelier than silence. Now, you crave depth over distractions, presence over performance, quality over quantity. Think about George. In his younger years, he was the life of the party, always hosting dinners, always saying yes. But by 75, He realized that half the people he entertained never truly saw him. Now, George spends his mornings walking alone through the park. He shares tea with one or two friends who listen deeply, and he ends his days in peace, not loneliness. When asked if he misses the buzz of the old days, he smiles and says, "Back then, I had more people. Now, I have more peace, and that's a better trade." So, if your circle has grown smaller, don't rush to fill it. Trust that you're not fading. You're filtering, and what's left is gold. You're not isolating yourself. You're protecting your energy. And sometimes, what drains us most doesn't look harmful at all. You deserve peace, not performances. Some friendships don't break. They just quietly start to feel like a stage. You smile, nod, ask how they're doing. They vent. You listen. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny anymore. You give more than you get. And maybe, for years, that worked. You were the strong one, the patient one, the connector. But strength isn't just carrying everyone else. Sometimes it's knowing when to set them down. Take Rita, 75. She had been the group glue for decades, organizing reunions, checking in, remembering birthdays. But lately, after every call or lunch, she felt depleted, like she had been performing. So one day, she stopped. She didn't make a dramatic exit. She simply gave herself permission to rest, to not reply instantly, to not attend every gathering, to say, "I need quiet today," and mean it. At first, the silence felt strange, but soon, it felt like healing. Rita realized she hadn't been avoiding people. She had been avoiding burnout. You don't have to keep relationships alive out of guilt. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that's always cheerful, always available. If a connection doesn't offer peace, support, or space to be your unfiltered self, it's not a friendship. It's a performance. And after 70, you've earned the right to step off that stage. Letting go doesn't mean you're left with nothing. In fact, what remains might just be the best part. Quality beats quantity at this stage. There was a time when friendship meant full calendars, loud dinners, group photos. But now, it might mean a single voice that really hears you. A shared silence that feels safe. A walk, not a party. A letter, not a group chat. After 70, the heart doesn't need crowds, it needs comfort. Let me tell you about Eli, 82. He used to host big Sunday barbecues. A dozen people in the yard, kids running, conversations buzzing. But over time, those gatherings dwindled. Some friends passed, others moved. A few just faded. Now, every Tuesday, Eli meets with one old friend at the same diner. They talk about baseball, old regrets, the strange beauty of being alive this long. No pressure, no show, just presence. And Eli says it's the best friendship he's ever had. We often think shrinking circles mean shrinking lives, but the truth is, you may be discovering the most authentic connections of your entire life. The kind where you can show up tired, or quiet, or complicated, and still feel loved. So don't mourn the empty seats. Treasure the ones that are still filled, by people who don't need a version of you. They just want you. If you've lost friends after 70, you're not broken. You're becoming. This chapter isn't about proving your worth to everyone. It's about protecting your peace, trusting your evolution, and surrounding yourself with people who see the soul behind your smile. So if your world feels quieter lately, maybe that's not loneliness. Maybe that's life finally speaking at your volume. And you still matter. You still belong. Even if your circle has gotten smaller, your presence is just as powerful. Which part of today's video spoke to you the most? Leave a comment below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this video made you feel seen, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and stay with us on this journey of reflection, healing, and growing older with grace. You're not alone here. Not ever.